Welcome everybody. We were wondering when we started organizing this event what would happen when we put an 8:45 start in, and this is what happened. So congratulations on being the very few undergraduates who show up for the first class in the morning. What we have today is actually quite a full agenda, and this is because when we think about the complexity of the climate challenges we face, there's a lot to cover. And this coverage is going to happen today from hearing from voices which are really quite important to what the University of Manchester does. And so you will predominantly hear about the research that is being done by early career researchers who are working in really diverse and interdisciplinary ways across the campus, and all of them are really pushing on this agenda of accelerating just climate action. The event was born out of a conversation between Carly McLaughlin and I, where we were like, well, COP28 is going to suck, and let's go and talk about what we think should be talked about. And so from that, we recruited two other partners in crime, and that's Creative Manchester, giving a very different and important perspective on how to think about those challenges, and the Henry Royce Institute, which really delves into a lot of those technical challenges or enablers to do that change. So what we're going to have today is a little intro session introducing you to the organizations that really help make this happen, and then we're going to do 4 different sessions on different themes or ways to frame or how to think about this challenge of accelerating just climate action. But I have to start by doing boring things, which become exciting if catastrophic things happen. So there's a map on the next slide that I'll show you, which has toilets and fire escapes. We do not have a scheduled fire alarm today, so if we hear something, that means this becomes an exciting slide. We are going to have photography and video today because we want to be able to show people who aren't able to come that this is important. And so if you don't want to be photographed, please talk to Emily, who is up at the front here. And she will blur you out of everything. Just try and make sure that, sort of like an airport or when you're on a flight, keep your aisles clear and your hand baggage stowed. And if you have any issues or something like that, just talk to the events team. So Emily or any of the team that are at the front desk. There is a link. And if you scan that QR code, which is around, what you get access to is not only sort of the agenda for the day, but also links to a lot of the things that are going to be talked about. So if you want further information, you can find that on the QR code. Those QR codes are sort of posted around as well as on the screen. So now, move away. Cool. So as I said, so we are up at the registration desk up here. There's actually another event on in this lecture theater. They're not as cool as us, so just look derisively at this other event and wonder why they aren't in our room. There's a water fountain here for those of you who want to refill your water bottles. There's a fire exit just across, and then there's toilets that are there. So, pretty good? Good. So I said before that we're a partnership between lots of different people. One of them, in terms of not organizing things, but being really nice to us, is the Alliance Manchester Business School, because that's where we are now. And they are nice enough to give us this room and host us here for the day. But in terms of the organization, this is us in terms of Sustainable Futures, Creative Manchester, put them in the middle, you guys must be important, John. Tyndall at Manchester, and then Henry Royce Institute. And so we're just going to briefly hear from each of these organizations to give you a sense of who they are and what they do. And first up is Tyndall.
Well, thanks very much. I'm Kylie McLaughlin. I'm the director of Tyndall Manchester. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about us as a centre in the university. So we were set up in 2000. We're a partnership with 4 universities. We're headquartered at the University of East Anglia. But Manchester is, certainly in numbers terms, as significant a partner as UEA. And then we also have offices at Cardiff and at Newcastle. When we were set up in 2000, we were set up to have policy relevance on climate change. We were the first interdisciplinary centre funded on climate change in the UK. Of course, now it's extremely common to have that in lots of universities. But that policy focus was also very unusual then. And again, now because of the impact agenda in universities and trying to make a kind of, a measurable difference in the real world, it's a much more common thing. But that's remained a very central part of what we do. We work across 4 themes. We organise our work across 4 themes. So those are reaching zero emissions, catalysing adaptation and resilience, accelerating social change, and achieving well-being. And across the centre, we've got contributors to the IPCC, IPBES, and the UK Climate Change Risk Assessment. To give you a sort of sense of the types of project that we work on, I've just listed a few of the kind of live areas at the moment. So you've got city scale and community level climate action, you've got bioenergy and greenhouse gas removals, sustainability of the water sector, the circular economy assessing sustainability and new business models, resilient and just energy systems, and decarbonising aviation and shipping. So there's live projects working on all of those areas at the moment. We're not a platform in the same way as Sustainable Futures, where we're looking to kind of bring everybody together across the uni. We are a centre that's happy to collaborate with other people. So if any of this looks exciting to you or connects with what you do, then we and many of my colleagues that are here today would be happy to chat more. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. That's great, Carly. And thanks, Mike, as well, for inviting us along today. We're really delighted always to be working with Mike and with the team at Sustainable Futures and to be working with Carly. My name is John McAuliffe. I'm the director of the Creative Manchester Research Platform. And what the research platforms do at the university is try to convene interdisciplinary teams on research interests which converge. So we have 3 main themes that we look at: creativity, health and well-being, creative industries and innovation, which is led by our colleague Dr. Claudia Henninger, who's going to be chairing a session this afternoon, and Jenna Ashton, who works on creative and civic futures. All 3 of their work involves working with colleagues in sustainable futures. Especially, I suppose, one of the things that we think we're good at and we'd like to do an awful lot more on is developing sustainable co-production practices with communities and trying to articulate concerns that come from the grassroots up and are developed in collaboration with our academics. And again, as Carly said, if you have interests or research that you think might patch onto one of these research themes, we would be really interested to hear from you. And you can use that QR code, which you'll be able to access to drop us a line, and we'll start a conversation with you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Hannah Barron. I work as a research and business engagement manager for the Henry Royce Institute. The Royce is a national research institute into advanced materials, and it was set up a few years ago to really establish the United Kingdom as a leader in advanced materials research. So the University of Manchester is the hub of the Royce, but there are other partners that are involved with the Royce as well across the UK. So at the centre of all of this is our commitment to advanced materials for a sustainable society. And we do that through these 10 different research themes that feed into this commitment. And that might be anything from the work that we're doing at the Sustainable Materials Innovation Hub around circularity of materials for the circular economy, or anything that we're doing within electrochemical systems or nuclear materials for green, clean energy, or even biomedical materials to support a healthy population. So we're working across materials research to really provide these innovations for a more sustainable society. So if anybody's interested in talking to me a bit more, please reach out to me or one of my colleagues. Thank you very much.
And last but not least is us. So Sustainable Futures was started two years ago, and was born out of really a need to convene lots of different perspectives together to tackle sustainability challenges. So sustainability challenges are wicked. They are both complex, they're fundamentally interdisciplinary, and they're really hard to solve without unintended consequences. So we're inherently interdisciplinary in terms of bringing people together, but really focused on building internal collaborations to deliver on external impact, right? And so very impact focused in terms of what we wanted to do, because we realized that change has to happen outside of our walls, but needs to be motivated by our collaborations. We are set up around challenge areas, and so that includes net zero futures led by Andrew, inclusive and prosperous futures led by Helen, resourceful futures led by Claudia. Claudia obviously is very talented. She's on both Creative Manchester and Sustainable Futures. Inspired and Informed Futures by Jen, Resilient Futures by Tim, and Healthy Futures by Holly. And we really are a very community-focused organization in that we organize events, we create networks, we help build interdisciplinary research teams, we help them find partners, we help them write grant applications, and all of that is really focused on enabling interdisciplinary research, but also growing impact. Lots of different ways to connect with us, but oftentimes you sort of see what it is we were trying to do from sort of social media platforms. On breaking news front, I've just added this slide in right now, which is really to say that we at the university have lots of opportunities to engage in these collaborative activities. So one of the key mechanisms that we use across all of the platforms to sort of grow new research activities is what's called UMRI. I've never figured out what UMRI stands for. It doesn't really matter. But what it is it's a funding call which enables interdisciplinary and collaborative research. So it's what's called a Pump Prime Fund, where you effectively put some seed funding into it across different priorities areas and very much focused on interdisciplinary collaboration. And the goal is to enable teams to come together and then grow interdisciplinary research. The focus is on really things to do with the 4 research platforms, so that's Sustainable Futures and Creative Manchester, which you've already heard about, and our 2 sister platforms, Digital Futures and Health Inequalities. And so you can see in there, each of those have different priority areas. So the ones for Sustainable Futures, water, energy transitions, climate justice, biodiversity, circular economy. Creative Manchester's is creativity, health, well-being. Creative industries and innovation, create tech, civic and creative places. But really all of those different topics are open. The award is a max of $50K. Deadline is 19th of January, and you can find more details by subscribing to our newsletter or connecting there. So that's it for intros. We've got a packed agenda today, and we're opening on a session with focus on the Global South. So I'm just going to turn that over to our Global South team.